The United States is facing an impending debt crisis. U.S. consumer debt is at an all-time high. Federal spending is at runaway levels. Banks are failing. Inflation is out of control. There's tons of uncertainty about what's going to happen in the market right now. There's a lot of things to be worried about. The question is, should you panic? I don't think the answer is yes. However, I think there are things that you need to do to prepare for this crisis. And if you do these things, you're not going to just survive, but you're going to thrive through the next recession. Remember, in 2008 and 2009, more millionaires were made than any other time in history. That is because in the greatest times of challenge also create the greatest periods of opportunity. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. That way you're notified every time I launch a new video. I got videos like this coming out all the time. Let's get into it. Hey, what's going on, Cashflow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and today we are talking about the pending debt crisis that's going on. Make no mistake about it, it's here. We're in it right now. I don't think a lot of the media is talking about it. It's not commonplace. Obviously, the bank failures are happening and people are becoming more and more aware of that. The economic environment that we're living in is actually just kind of upside down. A lot of principles that need to be in place to have our economy thrive are just not in place anymore. And unfortunately, that's going to lead to deleveraging, and that's going to lead to a lot of people going through a lot of challenges. And so what I want to do is I want to show you in this video, I want to show you statistics and things that you need to be considering about what's going on in the world right now, just to make this real. Because if you don't understand the problem, it's impossible for you to respond effectively. The goal from this video is to give you everything you need to know to understand how to make decisions better for you. And once again, this is not personal advice for you, but this is designed to give you information so you can make a better educated decision for what's best in your life, right? So let's just get into some statistics here. So here's the deal. US household debt is at a record high of $24 trillion. We've never seen this level before. To make it worse, in the past year, that level has increased by 8.47%, which is a really, really high year-over-year number. To tack that on even worse, US credit card debt has gone up 20% in just the last 60 days. Severely late auto loan delinquency payments, which are 90 days or more behind, are at record highs. And credit card delinquencies are the highest they've been since 2009 and 2010 at the peak of the Great Recession. I'm gonna get into this data a little bit more for you as we go through this video, but before I do, I wanna talk about the federal debt problems that we have going on right now and just the total train wreck that is the US government and their spending problems. Now, here's some statistics from usdebtclock.org, which if you haven't checked out this site, I would absolutely suggest that you go check it out. Here are some statistics to contemplate for the US spending issue that we have right now. We're nearly $32 trillion in debt as a country right now. That's 120% of our national GDP. We're spending $566 billion every single year just on the interest expense on our debt. That is $566 billion every year that our government is lighting on fire because they don't have the ability to manage our budget right. That is the future of our next generations going up in flames. Now, what I want to do is I want to put this into a little bit of context for you, because right now we're running over a $1.4 trillion annual deficit. And remember, I said we're spending $566 billion every single year on that debt. Well, what does that even mean? Okay, that money is getting lit on fire. Sure, that's fine, because it's really not doing anything productive or creating any kind of productive value in our country. But let's compare that to the other things that people freak out about, right? Like national defense and war spending at $784 billion. We're spending 72% of our national defense and war budget just on the cost of paying our interest on our debt. If you break that down and you think about it, there is zero reason we should be doing this. How about we compare the $566 billion of interest expense to the $1.28 trillion that we spend on Social Security payments? Sure, once again, the $566 billion is only 44% of our Social Security expenses, but once again, that 44% of that total payment is going to create no productive value in our country. And then of course there's Medicaid to compare it to. Now the $566 billion that we waste on interest expense every single year right now is only minuscule 36% of our Medicaid budget, but at the same time, once again, no productive value. What could be done if our government would just get their head out of their you know what and put it to work and start focusing on doing what's right with money? I understand there are all these social causes and all these social desires to be doing things for people in this country. But if we can't be responsible with our money, what's going to happen is the economy is going to force us to be responsible with it. I had Harry Dent on the channel at one point in time, and he said to me something that I thought was really interesting. He said, you know what, Chris? The economy is smarter than the economists that are trying to run it. And what that means is that eventually the principles of economics are going to win, and we can't be going down this path that we're going down without having some sort of pain. And unfortunately, I think that pain is upon us and we're going to experience it. And I think that's going to be a contraction in asset prices. I think real estate values are going to go down. I think stock prices and valuations are going to go down. I think our debt crisis is going to happen. I think there's going to be massive foreclosures. I think there's going to be a lot of repossessions on cars. I think credit cards are going to go into default, and people are going to have more credit crisis than that we've ever seen in our lives, and probably in the history of this country. So the question is, what can you do to prepare for it? Now, in order to do that, you got to be able to see what's coming at you. You can't hit the ball if you don't see the rotation of the pitch. That's an old baseball thing. So what I want to do here is I want to get into something here. I want to show you some charts, and I just want to kind of take this context of some of the things that we were talking about here before. And I want to get into this. So what is this? This is the total credit owned and securitized by United States. Now you can see here back in 2008, our total debt in this country has almost doubled since 2008. That's a problem. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through these statistics, but you can see here during the pandemic when they started doing stimulus, it went down. There were times in 2015, 16, it went down. You can see there's a bump here in the recession. It slowly went down. There was a deleveraging cycle right here. We go through these cycles. Right now they're going up and then they go down, they go up and they go down. And I show this on my Life 180 Pyramid Talk, which I will link up here if you want to see this. This is the importance. The challenge is during these times, during these deleveraging times, this is a longer deleveraging time right here. During these deleveraging times, if you remember this is when like Warren Buffett and Elon Musk and all the richest people in the world made massive leaps forward in their net worth because of this time, right? So that's important to see. But here's the deal. It's not just that we have all this debt that's going up. It's the combination with the fact that our personal savings rates have gone way down. So if you look at our personal savings rates back in 2007, November 2007, they were at 2.8%. Now, obviously, during the pandemic, they went way high because people were, the government was just printing money and basically handing it out like candy. And so our savings rates saw rates that we haven't seen ever before, right? And so since that time, though, it's been really drastically, sharply coming down, and savings rates are the lowest they've been since way back in the Great Recession. And when you think about that, the combination of higher debt, lower savings rates, that shows a really, really bad thing. Now, here's the consumer credit card debt. This is something that I want you to see and really think about. I want to compare this as savings rates were going high in 2020 and 2021. Now look at the credit card debt in 2020, 2021, it went down. But now what's happening is towards the end of 2021, credit card debt is going through the roof. And we have never seen credit card debt being going up at this trajectory at any point in time in history. It is a total catastrophe waiting to happen. And unfortunately, this growing debt crisis on consumer debt, and this is what I would call completely toxic debt. Because like the government is paying $566 billion every single year on its national debt, Americans are paying far too high of a percentage of their household income just to service their debt on toxic consumer debt like credit cards and other personal loans and unsecured debt, right? Like this is growing at levels and rates that we have never seen before, and it needs to be reined in. So here's another challenge. With inflation going up and interest rates going up at the same time, that is what has led to banks struggling and the banking crisis in general right now running into the problem that it's running into. On the flip side of that, it makes cost for borrowing more expensive for consumers. And what that's doing is it's putting pressure on asset prices like real estate, right? So now what I want to do is I want to show you the real estate tab. Because as you can see, as this credit card debt is going up, what's going to happen here is then we look at real estate prices and we have one of the sharpest declines in real estate prices that we've seen in a long time. Real estate prices, the median sale price of a household in the United States has dropped from $479,000 in quarter 4 of 2022 to $436,000 in quarter 1 of 2023. That is the fastest, sharpest reduction in price in a quarter that we've seen in the history of real estate prices in this country. And unfortunately, I think it's only gonna get worse. So here's where the problem gets worse and where I think it's gonna get really bad. Unfortunately, the bottom 60% of income earners in this country account for 40% of US consumption. That is 60% of the people who are now struggling with delinquent payments, being behind in their mortgage payment, having soaring consumer debt with credit card debt. They're gonna run into issues when the unemployment rates go up. What's gonna happen is that's gonna compound the problem and the crisis is gonna kind of steamroll out of control. And unfortunately, when it does that, it's gonna be too late. So what I wanna do is I wanna walk through some simple steps that you can do to prepare. And obviously this is gonna be easier for some and harder than others, but these are principles that you need to get in place as soon as possible. And I'm telling you, I really implore every single person to start thinking about this stuff and executing on this as quickly as possible. The first thing that I would do is get a side hustle. Create some sort of side job. I don't care if you have to go out and work Uber or drive Lyft or do deliveries, or if you have to get creative with some sort of other way to create a side income. Use a skill, do whatever, but create side income. Even if you can make $200 to $300, $400 a month extra, which is not that much work. Every single person has the ability to do this. I would say go out, get a side hustle, work a side job, do whatever you have to do. Take that $200, $300, $400, $500 a month that you can make extra, pay off your credit cards faster. So number one, increase your income capacity, work overtime, do whatever you have to do. Take that money and pay off your consumer debt. That would be number two, is pay off your consumer debt as fast as possible. Those credit card balances that I was talking about, don't let yourself be part of the masses that suffer and get caught in that trap. Now, if you can't get them all paid off because maybe your balances are too high or you just don't have the ability to earn that much money, there are some things that you can do anyway. Consider a balance transfer. Get your balances transferred to a 0% interest rate, and that's gonna help you accelerate the pay down. If you're paying 18 to 20%, you may be able to transition to a new card, transfer all your balances to a new card, or at least a couple of your balances to a new card at a 0% rate. That'll help reduce your interest expense, and that will accelerate the pay down of your credit cards in the process. If you can't do that, because obviously you need to have a good credit score to do that, sometimes you can call the credit card company and you can negotiate a lower rate with the company that you already have. At the end of the day, it doesn't hurt to ask. And once your credit cards are paid off and you have a plan for that, I would really encourage every single person to save up as much dry powder as possible. What that means is build an emergency fund. Get ready for what's happening, because the people that have money, liquid, accessible, in your control, access to capital, is going to be king in a recession. Make no mistake about it. The debt crisis is going to lead to a recession. It's going to lead to a lot of pain for the majority of Americans. It doesn't need to be you. If you spend the next 6 to 8 months preparing for this and saving, putting money aside, making it so you don't have to make desperate decisions, then you will be more prepared for what's to come. Now, there are some drastic things that you can do. I'm not telling anybody to do this, but if you are on a line thinking about what to do with your money, what to do with your finances, it may make sense if you have a lot of equity in your home still. I don't think it's too late to maybe sell your home and go back to being a renter, because I think what's going to happen is there's going to be an opportunity for the renter market to grow. So leave while the renter market isn't as strong, and there are plenty of areas in this country where you can still rent less than it's going to cost for a mortgage, and I think that's important to understand. But more importantly, you get to capitalize on the upside of the growth that we've had in the real estate market. If you've been in your home for 5 or 6 years, you have the ability to capitalize on all the appreciation that you had, control that capital, wait for the market to come down and take advantage of it when the opportunity presents itself. I understand it's a little bit challenging right now because of the fact that a lot of people have interest rates that are locked in super low. At the end of the day, that's all going to work itself out, I believe. A lot of people that talk about interest rates being low, yes, that is what it is. But at the end of the day, as interest rates go up, the market is going to level itself out eventually. And with the debt crisis, and when there's a big deleveraging, and when there's austerity, and when all this stuff flushes itself out, when all these other banks throughout this year have to get saved and rescued by the bigger banks, and the Fed has to step in, and the FDIC has to step in, and there's all this new policy, I'm telling you, I truly believe this will all work itself out. If you have an extra car and you don't need that car, I would say sell it while you can. The car market is still super strong. Take advantage of that thing. Go into your garage, find the stuff that you're storing that maybe you have there and you don't need. Sell things to have more capital, have more cash on hand, because capital is going to be king during this time. These are the things that I believe. I understand it's not for everybody to go do it, but I would really encourage everybody to consider the importance of this. And the fact is, we are heading towards this debt crisis. I'm not one to be like a doomsdayer. I do believe we will come out the other side strong. And I do believe through this opportunity, through this challenge, there will be opportunity. It will create the ability for a lot of people to create a lot of wealth. And in order for you to take advantage of that, you need to make sure that you do the things to lay the framework and the foundation for you to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you. Unfortunately, having your money locked up in 401k accounts, having your money not accessible, having your money tied up in the equity in your home, having a lot of credit card debt, all these things are things that are going to keep you from reaching your goals. And they're going to actually not just keep you from reaching your goals, they're going to put you at more risk. And so I would encourage you to do that. If you haven't already, hopefully you found value in this video. If you did, please like it, share it, get it out there to people. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, that way you're notified every time I launch a new video. Till next time, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon. See ya.